They were definitely serving drinks here. All right. Wow, that is awesome. I'm at the ghost town of Everest, North Dakota, just south of Castleton. The town boomed in the 1880s. There was a hotel, saloons, stores, a boarding house, and a blacksmith shop. It burned in 1886, but there were some residents who stuck around after. I believe there was a store in business until the 1940s. I got permission to excavate the grounds behind where the original businesses once stood, so I'll take a walk around and see what's going on. This would have been behind where the business district was, the back lot, so to speak. There were buildings, possibly houses back here. I know there was some residences living in the area after the town burned. There's a lot of ground to cover, but we'll set out a grid. This is no doubt overgrown in the last 140 or so years. I was walking around and saw some fragments in the area. I started probing. If you look close, you'll see I kicked some marks in the ground. I hit a bunch of ashes and some glass down there. That's a good indicator of an early site. It's decent sized, 4x4. We'll get this thing opened up. I think we're in a saloon pit. There's all kinds of bitters bottles. I found fragments, tonic bottles, broken beers. This layer is soft. It was a well-used pit. A lot of stuff everywhere in here. Dr. J. Hostetter's stomach bitters. Wow, that's an applied top. This is Dakota Territory era, before North Dakota was even a state. That is beautiful. It's got some iridescence on it. Looks like some kind of prescription bottle. Wilser's Pharmacy, 604 Front Street, Fargo, North Dakota. Wow, that's right after statehood. That's got to be 1890s. Yeah, they're just everywhere in here. Looks like some kind of tonic bottle made by the Whittle Tatum Company. They made a ton of bottles back in the 1880s, 1890s. Some kind of paneled piece. I think it's a medicine. White wine and tar syrup. Coldwater, Michigan. Warner's. Okay, so Warner's had a bunch of products back in the day. It's very weak embossing on this thing. It's a tooled top though. I'd put it at about 1890. It looks like some kind of ale bottle. Looks like an applied top turn mold. Got a nice green color. Yeah, this ground is incredibly soft down here. Looks like a tooled top bitters. No embossing on the thing, but that same 1890 era. Another bitters. I'm certain this is a saloon pit. That's a tooled top. Dr. J. Hostetter's. Got a couple of them now. Dr. J. Hostetter's stomach bitters. Looks like another tonic bottle. Yeah, I've found these in saloon pits before. Yeah, another by the Whittle Tatum Company. Would have had a paper label on it, likely shipped in from somewhere. We may have found the bottom. There's a couple pieces laying down here though. This one's got some writing on it. 1880, Dr. C.D. Warner, Coldwater, Michigan. German hop bitters. You know, I think this is a super rare one. I've never seen it before. I know Warner's sold their products all across the northern frontier. Looks like some kind of bitters, could be a Beggs. Let's see. No embossing. Well, tooled top would have had a paper label on the front. It's circa 1890. This pit's done. The pit's all finished up. It was a well-used saloon. Here's the hall. Got a wine bottle, some bitters, a prescription bottle, patent medicine, and I believe a couple tonics. Wasn't a whole lot thrown in, but it was no doubt a good excavation. Had some good age. We'll get this thing filled back in. There's the spot we dug yesterday. It cleaned up well. I started probing around the area. You'll see I kicked some marks in the ground. I hit some more ashes and glass. It isn't a deep pit, but I had a lot of stuff down there. So we'll get this one opened up next. Down a couple feet. Looks like I'm into a solid use layer. You see the soil change. There's it's like a medicine of some sort. What do we have? Emmert Proprietary Company, Chicago, USA. Happy Home Blood Purifier and Health Tonic. Looks like it's a tooled top. We've had a paper label on the front. You can see the embossing on the side. There's just all kinds of writing. I've never dug one of these before. That's a really cool name. I put this thing at about 1895. That's something underneath it. What do we have here? It's like a broken liquor flask. A coffee cup. You know what? This thing is in great shape. It's a ironstone. I thought the handle was broken off at first, but this thing didn't have a handle. This is the same date range, 1890s. Still in a solid use layer. This stuff seems to have some great age too. Looks like another coffee cup of some sort, ironstone china, 1890s. Another piece. There it is. Looks like a little butter pat. I dig these every once in a while. Royal Ironstone China, Alfred Meekin, England. He had a really popular pottery works back in the day. Find his pieces all across the Midwest. Some kind of panel bottle here. Let's see. Oh wow, an Ayers sarsaparilla compound extract. That's a nice one there. That's another classic. I find a lot of these in early frontier sites. It's yeah, Ayers sarsaparilla circa 1895. Oh wow, we've got a couple pieces down here. See here, another Ayers sarsaparilla. That's mint. Look at that. Tooled top. Again, circa 1895. Look at all this stuff. Wow, this pit's loaded. What is this? Oh wow, okay, it's another Ayers, yeah. It's a tooled top. You see it has Ayers on the bottom. I find a lot of these, I think it was a hair type product. Another tooled top, circa 1890. Hood sarsaparilla, Lowell, Massachusetts. Apothecaries, C.I. Hood and Company. This is getting earlier. You know, I'd put this at closer to 1890, and it looks like this one's still full of contents. That's interesting. Ayers sarsaparilla compound extract, Lowell, Massachusetts. Oh, this is really something, and they're all intact. I found the corners and bottom. This is in one of the sides. Might be the last piece. This is unusual. I've never dug one of these. It's got some embossing. Charlie Ross. And it's got a face embossed on it there. This is unusual. It looks like it's actually a clear bottle, but it still has the contents in it. Maybe it wasn't the best product, but this is, again, in that 1895 range. And that's hard-packed clay. Looks like this pit's done. Here's the haul. I learned something interesting about this cologne bottle. So Charlie Ross was the first person in US history kidnapped for ransom. It was a 4-year-old boy kidnapped outside of his parents' mansion. That was back in the 1870s, and his whereabouts are still unknown. Some other finds are the ironstone pieces and some medicines. Wasn't a big pit, but definitely an interesting dig. We'll get this thing filled back in. This was once the business district of Main Street. There on the corner is where I concluded the hotel once stood, based on property records. There was a saloon attached to it, several other businesses up here. But down here, you'll see I kicked some marks in the ground. I pushed a probe rod through the ground. I felt some stove ashes and glass. That's a good indicator of an early site. We'll get this thing opened up. We're in it. I saw this one first. This looks like could be a soda. This is a holy grail. Joseph Simonich Bottler, Wapaton, North Dakota. It's made by the Streeter Bottle and Glass Company with an 1897 date code. Look at that thing. So this is what a pop bottle looked like before the pry-op cap was invented. This pit is loaded. Looks like some kind of a picnic flask. Wow! That's a quart. I think a quart picnic flask. You know, there were saloons down here on Main Street. I think this might be a saloon pit. Wow. I see some embossing. Been working around all this coal. I think they threw some coal in as backfill. What's this thing? Melon's infant's food. The Dullaber Goodall Company, Boston. That's early. I want to say this thing's 1890s. Looks like another liquor flask. This one's a shoe fly style. Again, I'd put this thing at 1880s, 1890s. Northwest Medical Company bitters. Wow, I'm fairly certain this is a saloon pit. You'll usually find liquor flasks, soda bottles, and bitters in these things, and this is again 1880s, 1890s. And another liquor flask. Yeah, another shoe fly. So yeah, it's a cork top, would have been sealed with a cork way back when, before the screw tops became popular. Oh, this coal is kind of tricking me. Sounds like glass down there. It's like another bitters. Northwest Medical Company bitters. If I remember correctly, these are fairly rare. I don't know exactly where they're from, but I've dug these in saloon pits around the area. There's more, and I probed down. This pit drops at least another couple feet. This could get really good. There's some embossing. Atrasks magnetic ointment. I've dug these in earlier pits. I believe we're in a Dakota Territory era privy. It looks like a little penny pipe. Sometimes these have markings. I don't think this one does. They call them penny pipes because, well, they could be purchased for a penny at your local store. Look at that, solid use later. Another liquor flask. Yeah, shoe fly style liquor flask, circa 1880s, 1890s. May have found the bottom, but this west side has been producing well. There's all this coal in here. Let's see. It's a Nurser bottle. Our darlings. Nurser. Wow, okay. So there was definitely a family living here. If it was a saloon, they could have been living up top. This is early. This is, again, 1880s, 1890s. This aqua bottle. Oh, what's this? Oh, wow. Another melons, infants food. I definitely had infants living here. This is a good early piece, tooled top. Now I hit something. Let's see. Some kind of a dish. What is this? Oh yeah, McLean's strengthening cordial and blood purifier. I've found these in several saloon pits over the years. This is a mark of the beast, so to speak. It's a tooled top. More coal we have here. Little Philadelphia oval style prescription bottle. No embossing, unfortunately. Would have had a paper label on front. And the bags. This pit has it all. Sodas, cordials, bitters. I'm convinced it's a saloon pit. Another tooled top, circa 1890. Some kind of paneled piece and maybe a liquor flask kind of packed in here. I don't want to break anything. It's got to kind of carefully dig these things out. Another liquor flask, another shoe fly style. That's circa 1890. Lowell, Massachusetts. Compound extract. Ayers. Compound extract of sarsaparilla. That's classic. That's another Dakota Territory 1890s type bottle. What do we have here? I've seen these. Yeah, H.E. Buckland and Company, Chicago, Illinois. Electric bitters. That's a cool name. That's another MO of a saloon pit. Okay, it's just a broken flask. What do we have here? Looks like a Blake style prescription bottle. It is tightly packed. Ah, no embossing. This thing should have been embossed. That's a 80s style all the way. Blake style prescription bottle. Here's the haul. Everything dated back to the 1880s, 1890s. Got that Wahpeton soda bottle, some liquor flasks, I think a horseshoe off of a draft horse, a couple prescription bottles, some medicines, good amount of bitters, and some infant bottles, the nurser, and infant food. This was an awesome excavation. We'll get this thing filled back in. It may be difficult to see, but I painted some orange markings in the ground. That shows the corners of the pit we're about to excavate. I'd pushed a probe rod through the ground. I hit some stove ashes and glass. Doesn't seem deep, but it seems like there's a lot in it. So we'll get it opened up. Down only a foot, and this pit seems loaded. Looks like a bitters bottle here. Dr. J. Hostetter's. This is classic. I found these in pits all across the Midwest. Looks like there's some liquor and bitters mixed in. It's a good chance it's a saloon pit we're digging in. Dr. J. Hostetter's stomach bitters. That's a tooled top. This dates back to about 1890. It looks like all these maybe celluloid pieces have been coming out. Looks like some kind of woman's hair clip. Dates back into the late 1800s. And then these little combs, I don't know if they're mustache combs or something along those lines, but I believe they're also celluloid and date back to that same time frame. This caught my eye. I'm guessing a family was living here. This is a doll leg. This thing's well over 120 years old. Looks like some kind of semi-porcelain piece. A couple pieces here. Oh, Carter's, 1897. So that dates this for sure. And this is a tooled top, which fits that time frame. What do we have here? Okay, an unembossed bitters bottle. So these are generally Begg's Dandelion bitters, although this one had a paper label, could have held a number of different companies' bitters. Looks like a solid use layer. What is this thing? Maybe a beer? Maybe a whiskey. Oh wow, big whiskey quart. Sometimes these have writing on them. This one doesn't. Looks like a turn mold piece. That's, again, 1890s for sure, pre-turn of the century. Another whiskey bottle, a cylinder type whiskey, turn mold, no embossing on the thing. Wow. Beggs and DeWitt, Chicago, Illinois. So I'd mentioned Beggs Dandelion bitters. This is actually from that same company. This would have held some kind of extract or a medicine. It's a tooled top. We've got something ornate down here. Could be a stove part. I think it's cast iron. It's like on a bottle. Okay, it's a treadle to an old sewing machine. What do we have? Okay, it's Domestic. That's the company, the Domestic Sewing Machine Company. I've seen these before. It's late 1800s. What was this? Professor Callan's world-renowned Brazilian gum. Never heard of it. I dug a similar bottle that was Major's rubber cement, so maybe it's a similar product. Looks like maybe a Vaseline container. It's kind of into the clay. Oh yeah, Chesbro Manufacturing Company, Vaseline. This is an earlier version. It's a tooled cork top. Yeah, looks like a bitters bottle. Yeah, another blank example. Would have had a paper label on the front. Working my way west, and all kinds of stuff is falling out. Here's I think it's a faux wood doorknob. This could have actually been to the outhouse. These were made to look like wood, but they were actually some kind of ceramic. Great for outdoor use. Mason jar cap. Sometimes these have the company name. I know Boyd was a really popular company in the day. This one doesn't have any stamping on it though. A solid use layer. I've been seeing a bunch of undigested seeds. Confirming we're in an old outhouse pit. Likely to a saloon based on what we're finding. Yeah, this pit's loaded. Let's see here. Oh wow, an old sharpening stone. Would have been used for sharpening knives or an axe of some sort. Let's see, you don't want to break anything. It's all kind of just wedged in here. Big old prescription bottle. No embossing on it, but that's a big one. It's got to be a 12 ounce, maybe a 16 ounce size. And another. Too bad there's no embossing on these. They were likely from a local pharmacy. Could have been from Castleton. Now this paneled thing. Let's see. Okay, no embossing. It's a patent medicine, likely a bitters of some sort. I've seen these styles be electric bitters or pain celery compound. Looks like some kind of big pitcher. I mentioned this could have been a saloon, could have also been a restaurant. They were definitely serving drinks here. All right. Wow. That is awesome. The handle's intact. It's a little chipped up on the bottom. Must have been why it was discarded, but overall this is in great shape. Another mason jar lid. No embossing on this one either. I'm in the final corner, but something strange happened. So the corner continued on, and there's all kinds of stuff in it. We opened it up further and saw all kinds of whole pieces. There's a ball neck panel extract, could have held sewing machine oil or medicine as well. Yeah, solid use layer. Looks like a cone ink of some sort. That's a tooled top. It's like a ironstone china coffee cup. There's no handle on it, but a lot of these were made without them. A little French square style prescription bottle. There's no embossing on this thing, but that's great age. That's got to be 1890s for sure. And another. Wow, these could even be 80s. That's a really early style. I just wish there was some embossing on it. Would have had a paper label. And another. This thing's just loaded. This is insane. It's a chalice of some sort. I mentioned it could have been a saloon here. It's another confirmation. Oh wow. White wine and tar syrup. I usually find these in older pits. Coldwater, Michigan. That's from the Warner's company. That's a good piece. A tooled top, 1890s. Oh wow, what's going on with this? Looks like a little pill bottle. Bile beans, Smith's bile beans. I've never seen one of these before. These would have been extremely tiny pills. It's a tooled top bottle. Looks like some kind of liquor flask. Oh yeah, we have a coffin flask. Actually a shoe fly style. It's more rounded edges. That's 1890s for sure. May have found the final few pieces. I saw some embossing on this one. Fingers crossed. G.W. Bodle Druggist, Castleton, Dakota Territory. So this was made before North Dakota was a state. That's why it doesn't say North in front of Dakota. This is a holy grail. Let's see. It's like a little cologne bottle. I've had a paper label. This is early, I'm sure 1880s. And another cologne bottle made by the Illinois Glass Company. You can see the company mark there on the bottom. This would have had a paper label on the front as well. G.W. Bodle Druggist, Castleton, Dakota Territory. Wow, this still has some contents inside of it. It's got that pinkish color. I couldn't even begin to guess what that is. This pit's done. Here's the hull. This was a monumental excavation. Got a good variety of pieces as well. Got that sewing machine treadle. All these prescription drugstore bottles, including those two from Castleton. Got some medicines, coffee cup, some inks. liquor bottles, some combs, pitchers. That one has some really nice coloring, cordial glass, colognes, bitters. There you have it. We'll get this thing filled back in.